Good morning. Welcome, replay viewers. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Heather Rodriguez. I am a natural fertility specialist. I specialize in helping couples who are preparing for conception and trying to get pregnant, regardless if they're going all natural or if they're preparing for medical fertility treatments. And today's scope is going to be commonly asked questions that we get from couples who are trying to boost their fertility naturally. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. This is your opportunity to also ask questions. Today's Friday's Q&A. It's something I thought that would be helpful. So, what do I recommend for PCOS? We'll just jump into it. This is a Q&A session. I don't have an assistant with me here today, so I hope I can keep up with questions. I also have some that I got throughout the week for you guys. Okay, so recommendations for PCOS. There's a couple things. It's a pretty big topic because there's so many different things going on with PCOS, but I think the first step would be getting diet dialed in. Diet's going to be huge. I talk about fertility diet constantly because of how important it is, but for PCOS, there's actually more specifics to it on what needs to be happening. So PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it's one of the leading causes for infertility, in our modern world. So it basically, there's a lot of different things can happen. The chance of miscarriage increases. You're not able to ovulate, so your cycles are really long. It's just so much harder to get pregnant when you have PCOS. So one of the first steps is to focus on diet and to make sure that you're keeping your blood sugar levels balanced. And you can do that through making sure your protein, your carbohydrate numbers, you have to read labels, are pretty close in number. So that's one tip to that. Another tip would be to focus on fiber and having plenty of fiber and eating whole foods, avoid those processed foods and sugar. So that's one of the first steps to PCOS. I think that's a great topic we could probably do for a scope in the near future. But I would focus on that. That's going to be like more than 50-60% of what you need to be doing. So I hope you found that helpful. And someone had mentioned uterine fibroids. So it depends on, with uterine fibroids, and I have to mention, of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm helping to support you with nutrition and herbs, since I'm an herbalist and a holistic nutritionist, on things that you can do for that. But definitely always work with your doctor. Must say that, we like doctors. So for fibroids, something to think about that's a bigger picture that I think will apply to everyone else who's listening who may not be going through that specific fertility issue, is to think about it as a situation of stagnation or of, there's something growing in the body that shouldn't be there. So we want to increase circulation. We talked about that earlier this week. And a lot of these videos will be up on my website soon, so you can catch some of these older videos and get caught up on the topics. But increasing circulation is going to be very important to help the blood flow, to help everything get moving. There are some herbs that are very specific for fibroids that can be used. Sometimes they go away on their own. That's one that is surprisingly, like, one time it's there and the next month it's not. So there are some things that you can do for it. If you have specific details, you can email us and we will completely guide you with links and everything to exactly what you need for fibroids. But again, diet's going to be very important for that. You want to decrease the estrogenic foods and the estrogenic compounds you're exposed to. This goes for endometriosis, fibroids, all kinds of fertility issues. So many of our clients are estrogen dominant, so we want to kind of keep that reeled in. So another question that I get often is where to start. A lot of people don't know where to get started. They'll come to our website. We've got 750 pages of, okay, good. I hope I started you in the right direction. It's a big question with big answer, but that's where to get started for that. What's my view on soy and fibroids? So my view on soy is for fertility specifically. It's not across the board. I think people are fine eating soy in everyday life, but for fertility, I would avoid eating soy regularly. Soy is an amazing food, and one of the reasons it's amazing is it's able to go into the receptor sites of estrogen. Sorry, I have this hair that I can't even get out of my face. So it's able to go and plug in the receptor sites. And for some people, that's very helpful because it prevents negative estrogens from chemicals and different things in our environment from using those receptor sites. But if we're using concentrated soy protein, meats, tofu, all this on a regular basis, that can cause an overreaction as if we're having that much estrogen in our system. and we will have an estrogenic type result. So for fertility, for fibroids, I would not suggest soy at all for that period of time, so that you're not getting too much estrogen. Okay, so for where people to get started, that's something we get emailed about daily. So one of the first things besides diet, which we've talked about prior, is fertility cleansing. Have you guys ever done cleanses before? Is anyone familiar with doing like a detox or an herbal cleanse? Or sometimes people do like a master cleanse. Have any of you guys done anything like that? Simply for living, you've done a cleanse before? Yeah, so cleansing is something that I find really helpful to start our clients on. I find that it's a great starting point. There's a couple reasons. One is the time right now that you're preparing to, ahead of time before you conceive, or preparing for your pregnancy is such an important time, because it's the last time you're able to cleanse. It's the last time you're able to take these herbs and do all these things for your body to help prepare it and improve it for fertility. So this is that window. This is that special time. So fertility cleansing is different than most cleanses in that, one, it's very gentle. A lot of cleanses you have to make sure you can be by a bathroom, or you are really lightheaded and weak because you might be eating low calories. So the cleanse that you did, Simply Her Living, was an all vegan, no artificial salt. So it was more of a dietary cleanse. Yep, those are really good to do once in a while too. So this one's focuses on the uterus and the liver, very specifically. There's a couple reasons for that. And this applies to everybody who is working to improve their fertility. We want to focus on the liver because the liver is responsible for so much in the body, but one of its main tasks is to get rid of excess hormones within our system. So we want that, so our hormonal balance is where it should be. The orchestra is communicating. We don't have too much testosterone, too much estrogen, whatever it is, so that we are ovulating. Big goal here is ovulation. Ovulation is king, but so many things impact if we're ovulating or not. So that's why we focus on the liver. The cleanse is in two phases. The first part is the liver cleanse, so that we can support the liver in its normal action of detoxification. And the second part of the cleanse focuses on the uterus. So your future child is going to be taking residence in your uterus for 9 months. So we want to make sure that your uterus is as healthy as it can be, proper circulation, that all right, here's too much information. This might, gross some people out. I hope it doesn't, but I'm just educating and speaking the truth. But it helps to clean out any old blood, any old lining, or anything that may still be present in the uterus. So this is important. This is done through herbs that increase circulation, herbs that help detoxify and tone the uterus. So we've had amazing results from people doing the fertility cleanse. It's actually not designed specifically to, take this cleanse and you're going to get pregnant. It's a preparation cleanse, but we just get absolutely incredible results with it. And you can fit it into your everyday life. So that's one of the places I tell people to get started besides diet. Diet is super, super important. And let me know if you guys have any other questions. You can type them into the screen. I'm doing a Q&A today for those of you who are new and just joined me. I'm Hethir Rodriguez, natural fertility specialist, herbalist, and nutritionist. And I'm doing a Q&A. I scope every week or every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And I wanted to see if this format would be helpful for you guys at the end of the week. So you could, after you take in some of the information, you can ask any questions that you have. Another common question we get is, how long does it take for success when you're using natural treatments or natural fertility therapies? And that is a very hard question to answer. I know that's probably not what you want to hear. You want me to say it's going to take 29 days because everybody's different. Some people come to us and they just need a little nudge, and some other people come to us and they need a lot of adjustments to their lifestyle. So there's not a specific answer to that. What kind of liver or fertility cleanse? So there is a cleanse that we carry that's called the Fertility Cleanse. It's the only cleanse that's specific for fertility. So that's what it's actually called. You can Google it. You can go to naturalfertilityshop.com and you'll find the cleanse there. So how long does it take for success? So one of the main things that I want you to remember is that the cycle of an egg, and some of you have heard this before, is 90 days. So what we're doing today is going to impact the egg. You will ovulate 3 months from now. So you need to kind of think in that type of window when you're wondering how long these things are going to take, or is this going to work for you? Is dedicating at least 3 months before you start thinking to look for changes. So changes might be you didn't have a period and now you do, or you weren't ovulating, you're now ovulating, or you were super tired and you started growing facial hair and you saw a change in that, 3 months from now. So that's something to think about. And it's also, how long have you been going through this issue? So the amount of years, you want to make that into months for how long it takes to see a change. Something to think about. And then another thing we get asked about a lot is, is there any guarantees I'll get pregnant? Is this totally going to work for me? I so wish I could say yes, that this would work for everybody. It works for most people. Making these lifestyle changes and becoming healthier works for most people. You can fill in the blank for anything that people go through. For some people, they're going to need some assistance. If you don't have both of your fallopian tubes, you're going to need medical assistance in getting pregnant. But become healthier and prepared before you go in for your procedures. So another thing, some people ask us, does this work? How does it work? It definitely works. If you go to our website, if you're needing some inspiration, go to our success stories area. How long after miscarriage to start trying again? Okay. I'll answer that in just 1 second. And there you can read hundreds. I think we are up to 270 that are just published right now. We have so many that aren't published yet because we don't want to overwhelm our blog feed. But you can go there and read all kinds of different stories. It's pretty inspiring. It's pretty amazing. So you can go there and see if you can relate to that. So someone just asked how long to wait after. Let me know if I rephrase this right. How long to wait after having a miscarriage to try to get pregnant again? Is that correct? It's going to be different for each person. I think it's more of an answer about your emotional state. Okay, how long after miscarriage start trying again? I think it's more to do with your emotional state and when you're ready rather than your body. And then also if you know the reason that you had a miscarriage. So there's a lot of different reasons women have miscarriages. Some have them because that child wasn't viable. The embryo wasn't going to form into a proper human being. So that's part of how nature takes care of things. Other reasons can be like PCOS or hormonal imbalances like low progesterone. So kind of thinking about, do you think this was caused from something? If this was my second, third, fourth one, okay, I would probably start questioning it. First one, I don't always assume that it's something that's happening. Sometimes it's just part of nature. Hard, to hear that. That's not the best to hear because I personally have had 2 miscarriages. And so the best time to start trying afterwards is one, after you've had a full cycle. So you had your miscarriage, it was completed, then you ovulated possibly, and then you have your next menstrual cycle. That next cycle, you can begin. A lot of people can begin right away. It just matters emotionally if you're ready. And if you think there was something that caused it, a health issue, or you need to make changes to your lifestyle, enough time to have made those changes. So I hope that answers your question. So it's going to be different for everybody. Some people are ready right away. Some people will take some time. You are welcome. That's a really good question. And then another question I got this week was, is organic important? So when I talk about the fertility diet, a lot of times I mention organic foods and to buy organic and reprioritize your finances so that you can buy organic. And if it is a stress on your budget, to focus on the dirty dozen, meats and dairy, on making sure those foods are organic or from the best sources possible. The reason is that many of the pesticides and hormones that are used in food production have an effect on fertility. There's tons of studies out about how the pesticides on produce affect our male sperm count. Male sperm count has declined so dramatically over the last 50 years. It's unbelievable what is considered a normal sperm count now, or they pass the test compared to where it used to be. So organic is definitely worth it. I think I would give up cable if I had to pick between the two or something, I would just reprioritize. So do you guys have any other questions about anything that you're thinking about trying, or that you've gone through, or that maybe a friend of yours, a question they might have? My next scope will be on Monday, and I do them in the morning around this time, around 9 to 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And so I'll be talking on various different topics. And if there's something specific that you want to hear about, let me know. You can join me at naturalfertilityinfo.com. That's my information website. You can go there and find so much research, so many guides to different things you can do for your fertility. And then we also have the naturalfertilityshop.com, where I have my product line Fertilica there, as well as fertility yoga DVDs and everything you need basically to create your natural fertility program. And I thank you guys so much for joining me and for participating and for all the hearts. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you find these scopes helpful. And if you do, join me again next week. Can you recommend the liver and cleanse again, please? Okay, so I covered the cleanse earlier in the scope. For those of you who just joined, we were talking about fertility cleansing was one of the questions. So the product is called the Fertility Cleanse Kit, and it contains 5 products in it, and 3 of them are for liver cleansing, which is phase 1 you do for the first 2 weeks of your cycle. And then there's 2 products that are used for uterine cleansing that use for the second part of your cycle. So the way that the cleanse works is you begin right after you stop menstruating. So say you menstruate on the 1st of the month, you begin menstruating, and your period's about 5 days. You would start the cleanse right after your period is stopped. And there's phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 focuses on the liver, phase 2 focuses on the uterus. And there's full instructions and information on my website if you want to go to naturalfertilityinfo.com or Natural Fertility Shop. It's on there, and there's lots of information about it there, but that's such a great place to start on your journey. All right, so thank you guys so much. If there's any other questions quickly before I get going, go ahead and let me know. You can also contact me through Twitter and send direct messages. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, which I'm really enjoying. And we, of course, are on Pinterest. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. You have a fantastic day.